Set up about 42 years ago now by my father. Very different back then. You know, he was going around knocking on people's doors, selling them savings products.
Selling them windows.
Yeah, he was one of those men. So that was a long time ago. My brother joined the business. He's older than me, over 20 years ago, and me over 10. But things have really changed. Obviously, the industry's changed. I'm sure we'll get into this. But the business as well, which is obviously so important for any business. You don't evolve. We've seen the businesses that don't, right? Then the business doesn't survive. So yeah, been around for a long time. More recently, we moved into a new area, into Banstead. We're only down the road, but we're on a high street in an old bank.
So we call it old NatWest.
NatWest, yeah. So actually, my parents banked there. Yeah, because actually we grew up around the corner from there as well. But we call it the bank. So we've got a vault room. We've got the old vault room. With the safe doors. So it's a real experience coming into the office. And that's something, again, we might touch upon, I think is really important. And in today's advice, especially with things like AI, that you give them an experience. So we're a local business. We're part of the community. We're a team of 10 at the moment, constantly growing. But my brother and I went through an MBO to buy out my father. So that was in 2023. And with that, we've got this real drive to take the business. Now it really is our own to the next level. When things really changed were when we started negotiating with my dad to buy the business. And
so that was in 2021, just after
And the reason, what I've noticed about that is, if you think about it, makes sense, is because at that point, your interests are fully aligned. And that's why it's so important when you run a business and you work somewhere, that your interests are aligned, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise there's going to be a little bit of fighting against each other. We've worked really hard on the culture, especially in the last 2 years, but longer than that. So, it started with the smaller things of, let's go for a drink on a Friday.
Yeah.
Then we have team socials, whether it's a stand-up. We even went wild swimming a couple of times. But we do all these different things to then have experiences outside the office and really build relationships. And then we have other things, like we've got core values and we talk about them. We have
What are some of those core?
Yes, we've got 6. I mean, some of maybe the highlights would be collaboration.
Yeah.
So obviously teamwork's within that. Accountability, client first.
Yeah.
Professionalism. I mean, I could go through all of them, but
what do you think? Do you think some firms lack in sort of a lack of accountability?
And specifically in our industry?
Yeah, specifically in the industry.
Yeah, I definitely do. I mean, I think what we have in our industry, and obviously this is very much a generalization, but I think there are a lot of, because the average age of an advisor is 59, right? They're thinking of retiring a lot, or they are coming to retire in the next 5 to 10 years.
So they're not so fussed about things like drinks on a Friday, are they?
Exactly. And if I look at my dad, he was happy to do things, but you get to a point in your life, if you're happy with what you got, whereas when you're younger, you're pushing and like, how can we take this to the next level? And I think for that, because also having taken on advisors or an advisor who's been at other firms, they didn't do socials. If they ever went their Christmas do, they had to pay for it themselves. It was all like that. And I'm not blaming anyone or pointing any fingers, but I think there's a lot more that can be done. And I think people undervalue it.
How has that benefited the business in sort of a material impact in terms of its...
Well, I'll give you an example. A couple of the people who joined us when they started, one of them said, because we're in office, okay, one of them said, I want to be able to, I don't know if I can be in at that time, or I've got to walk my dog and these kind of things. And the other girl said, I've got a child, that I need to pick up and I can't work later than 5. Having now worked in the firm, the one who said that they didn't know if they could be in said they don't want to work from home because they prefer being in the office. The other person, who was very strict about their hours, now works potentially more than anyone else other than maybe me and maybe my brother. But they work weekends, they work evenings, because they love it. And because we get on, they love their job, they love working a team, they love helping the clients. And it just makes everyone's job more enjoyable. I mean, it makes it easier to give feedback.
Is there a pressure element on some people to work sort of because of the example you and your brother set? Or do you think it's because they enjoy it? so
I
much?
think it's because they enjoy it, especially, I mean, that person I mentioned, one of them, as an administrator, we never say to someone, you have to work. We do have extra hours. We do say, look, we've got high expectations, right? If I think there's obviously been this shift, and we're kind of shifting back to work-life balance, which is great, and that might lead to more happiness. But I think you've got to be realistic. If you want that work-life balance, and that's number one priority, then you're going to sacrifice whatever you do. If you work all your hours and extra, you're going to sacrifice other things, right? And there is a balance that needs to be had. You need to find what's right for you. But the better you want to do, essentially, the more time at work you need to put in. Otherwise, someone else will be doing it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always somebody on the doorstep to take your job.